Okay, here we go, part two. Welcome back. I'm going to start by just making the hand a little bit bigger. I think the hand is just a little bit on the small side for me. So I'm going to make that slightly bigger. Let me clean my brush. I still have my same palette. Some of the colours may be gone a little hard, but I can soften them as I need them, okay? Let me just take some burnt umber. I'll take some burnt umber, a tiny amount of black, and I'm going to start. I just want to make that the hand, it just seems a little bit on the small side for me. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit further here, and then up like that, okay? Trying to get the proportions just right is very tricky, I think. And one thing I'm not good at doing is hands and faces and all that kind of thing. So let me just get it in kind of just very loosely, okay? Just very loosely. And I might bring it across here a little bit just to thicken his arm just so, ever so slightly, okay? That's all. I may need to make it slightly longer as well. His hand, that is. I think it's just a little bit on the small side. So let me just extend his fingers a little, okay? Just a little. I think that will help with the painting. Let me get some more burnt umber here. And it's always kind of tricky trying to get back into a scene that you're halfway through, especially when you've left it for a while. It can be tricky to get back into the groove, as they say. Now let me just darken with my brush. I'm going to darken down here like this, just slightly. Now this is a very thin wash that I'm putting on just over some of his arm here, okay? Just to darken it just a little bit. And then I'm going to soften it up, okay? There we go. Let me take a good look at that now. That's nice, I like that. Okay. Next, I'm going to move on to, now there's a little bit of a sheen there. That's just from the light from a window somewhere coming across and catching the canvas. Yeah, that's okay. Next, let me just make sure this thing is recording here because I'm afraid of my life that something goes wrong with this video. I'll be very cross if something does. I want to round the top of his head ever so slightly, okay? Someone did suggest that perhaps the angle of the head was slightly off, and I agree, I think it is slightly off. So I'm going to just round the top of his head ever so slightly, okay? I'm going to use my stick now for this, and I'm using a small brush, which I shouldn't be. I should be using a flat brush, really. There's more control with a big flat brush. I think that's a little better. Let me take a look. It's just a little bit more round. I think that's a little bit better. And also, the angle of his chin is a little off. I can see that. So I might just bring it down a little bit more there. It should be a bit higher, but look, I think I leave it because I don't want to spoil my painting, okay? Next, I'm going to move on to, let me put this stick away, out of the way. Very handy little sticks, those. And I'm going to move on to the t-shirt here. Now, I can see that on the photograph, you can see less of this t-shirt. It's just the way the drawing kind of worked out. So I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to make it very bright yellow, I think. Let me just try this on and see what happens. I might put a hint of like a blue or something into this. Let me take a tiny hint of phaylo blue, okay? Tiniest little hint. And then I want to take some Naples yellow, and that will thicken it up. You see, that's a nice luminous colour now, isn't it? And it's very translucent, which means the canvas is showing through. I want to thicken it slightly, just another little bit more. It's still a little bit on the bright side. I'll go over this all together, look. I'll go right over that. Go right down, and it gets really dark then, doesn't it? So let's see now what colours can we use for this. I'm going to try some burnt sienna with some yellow first, okay? I'm going to use that just to darken this yellow down first, as it goes down into the shadows. When using yellows like this, you need to be very, very careful. Then I'm going to go to some black. Now, black mixing that with the yellow will go green, okay? But that's okay, because we're going right down into a very dark, shadowy colour. It doesn't really matter, as long as we end up with a nice, rich, dark colour at the bottom. Burnt umber and black, look. And this is almost going to disappear into that dark, dark background, alright? Let me get some more of that. Over here. You know, I'm keeping all of this section here very, very loose. You know, the focus is on really the tap in the water. So all of this really can just be blended kind of into the background really as such, if you know what I mean. You see? So we're getting very dark down there. Let's bring it up. Soften it. Pick up some of the green as you're going and go up here into that darker colour, because it's getting slightly lighter as it goes up, isn't it? Then go right up here by the arm. Now I want the green slightly lighter behind the arm so you can see the arm then, okay? You can see the outline of the arm. The elbow, rather. So I just want that slightly lighter, not very, very dark. Then as it comes up, look, I'm going to go slightly into it up there, like so. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to soften this kind of just gently to get some of those brush strokes out. Look, just soften it right down. And you can even soften it into the dark down here as well, look. So now it just disappears, doesn't it? Pretty much, almost, but you know, you kind of get the idea. Now let me just stand back and have a quick look at this. There. You see, that's not bad now, is it? Now let's take a small pointy brush and let's just add a few little details here and there on this. I'm going to take some of that dark black, okay? That very, very blacky colour. Perhaps even a hint of crimson. And I'm going to just suggest some kind of designs. Is that what they call it? It's just a design on the t-shirt, you know what I mean? Just to kind of, look, little couple of dots here and there. Then I'm going to take some of that black and go around here. Like so. And I'm going to go up here and I'm going to put a little piece of it like that. So you can kind of get the idea now. It's just suggesting little bits here and there. I'm not trying to be absolutely perfect with all of this. We can put a couple of little dots around here and there. It's just to suggest that there's these little things going on. Let's put a little piece just down here into the darkness. Look, like that. Then I'm going to suggest a little bit of light catching down here. Tiny, tiny suggestion of some light. A little bit there, a little bit on the back up there. I'll darken it down just slightly, look. So that sunlight maybe just catching it ever so slightly. And soften it in with my finger. So there. That's not bad now, is it? I'm happy enough with that. I'll go with that. I'm going to lighten some of his fingers again. Just a little. I'll use a little of the crimson with some Naples yellow. I just maybe a hint of cadmium yellow as well. I just want to lighten again. Just here and there, okay? You see? Just a hint. That's all. That's probably even too much, but it's fine. Look, we'll just soften them back in. Now. Okay. Let's move on and do our tap. I really want to get this tap done. I'm going to move to a slightly larger round brush, okay? And with the tap, I'm going to keep it just simple in that I'm just going to paint all of the tap one colour and then start adding lights and darks to that. I'm going to go with a burnt umber, okay? So let's take loads of burnt umber here now. Loads of this, plenty of turpentine in this, and this is almost dry. This is pretty much dry, you see? So that's why I wanted to leave it a day or two so I could do this properly. I'm going to go up and start putting in the tap. And I'm going to start by doing it very loosely with burnt umber. A wet wash of burnt umber. Look, even a hint of black, a tiny, tiny hint of black. Go right along. Fill all this in. And what I tend to do when doing things like this is I paint the entire thing in one go and then I start putting in the little joints where they meet. Do you know what I mean? That's how I tend to paint stuff like this. If it's pipes and all that kind of stuff. I like to just put everything in. And as it comes down, it's going to disappear completely into the black. So I'm going to go with just black on its own. And soften it down with your finger. Now you probably can still see some of that. So I'm just going to soften the base. Just kind of up and down, up and down. There we go, look. That's not too bad now, is it? I like that. That's pretty good. Now, next I'm going to move to a slightly smaller brush. Not my very small pointy brush, but the next size down. I'm going to take some burnt umber and I'm going to just start getting some of these in. Now I don't want to use very thin paint on this, okay? Because the problem is if you use very, very thin paint, it's very difficult to get another layer to stick on top because it's just very, very watery. Does that make sense? So I'm using almost thick paint on its own because this is already wet, remember? So I'm going to put thick paint then over that. Let's just get lots of burnt umber on its own. And there's one around here. Now again, you don't need to be perfect with this. This is just a suggestion, remember? Just a suggestion. And put another one next to it here. Okay. There's another one around here. Like so. And I'm just going along now doing this all the way around. Like that. So you can see now the idea. You can kind of see what I'm doing. I'm going to get some brown with some black for the top up here. Put that in and let's just go like that. Okay. Then I'm going to start getting some black. Okay. A little thinner than this, some black, and I'm just going to start darkening some areas where it might be catching the shadow. So for instance, around the top of this here and there, underneath that. Little bit on the sides of those. And then the next job is to start adding some lights into this. And for the lights, I'm going to take some burnt sienna. I'm going to go for a nice warm colour. Burnt sienna and a hint of Naples yellow. Okay. Now I'll try that first. Let me get my stick. I need my stick here. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a sup of coffee. Let me stand back and take a look at this. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'll tell you that. No, it's not bad. Let me get my stick and my squeaky chair. I have to oil these casters. This caster's on my chair again, going squeaky. Right. Let's go and some light on these. Okay, just like that. And would you like me to zoom in? Let me see if I can zoom in. I don't know if I can zoom in with this camera. Ah, I can. Apparently, I can zoom in as it's recording. I tell you something, huh? Fantastic technology. Right. Let me take a hint more Naples yellow in this. And I'm just going to suggest a few lights here and there. I'm actually going to take a little bit of cadmium yellow as well, okay? A little tiny touch of cadmium yellow as well. And I'm just putting in, on one side of some of these, a little bit of light. The piece coming down here, I'm going to soften that one in to the dark around it. And I'm cleaning the tip of my brush each time I do this, okay? I'm going to put a hint there and let's suggest a little line across there. I'm going to put a hint there and coming down the tapped stalk just there. I'm going to put a hint across the top of this and soften it downwards. In underneath there, look, little hint of it there. So a painting like this, especially when doing a tap and stuff like that, it's basically, it's a lot of lights and darks. That's what I kind of take from it. Lots of lights and lots of darks, and they really kind of help each other out. Now, down this side I'm going to put some light there, okay, just for the sun is coming along and catching that pipe. And then put a bit of warmer colour. As it comes in, look. Just like so. And we don't need to do too much work on this. Alright, believe it or not, we really don't. I'm going to take some black. I'm going to just put a hint of black. Just here and there. Okay, I think that's fine. I think I might just leave it at that. In fact, what I will do, look, is I'm going to just widen this. I think that would look a bit better. And we're moving on to the water. Now, the water is a tricky one. That's very tricky. I'm going to move to a smaller brush, okay? Now let me see if you can see this nice and close. You can, I suppose, it's not too bad. Will I zoom in once more? Is that better? Okay. I'm going to take some, I think I'm going to mix a nice pink, I think, first. A very bright whitish pink. I'm taking a tiny bit of crimson and lots and lots of white. And a little hint of Naples yellow as well. Okay, because the water in this, if you see it up close, it's actually like a very light pink. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's a very light pink. So I'm going to put a bit there, okay? Let me see now. I'm going to put just a lot of wiggles coming down first, okay? Bear with me. Let me get some more pink. I'm going to make a nice warm colour for this. Some crimson, cadmium yellow, okay? I'm making a very rich orange for this. Okay. Then I'll go back to my lighter colour. And that colour then is going to come off of the hand. I'm basically, now what I'm doing is I'm kind of following the outline of the water, that's all, okay? I just want to get the outline done first. Once that's done, then we can kind of concentrate on the lights and darks and all that kind of thing. Now I'll move to a bigger brush. I think I'll move to a slightly bigger one, round brush. I'll take some white and I'll take a hint of crimson again. I'll take a hint of cadmium yellow. Tiny hint of it. Tiniest little hint, okay? The tiniest little hint. It's more pink than anything else, really. And I'm going to go along here and just put that in like that. Okay, and I'm just kind of focusing loosely on this. Water is tricky enough to paint, I can tell you. Because water is very unorganized, okay? Water will go wherever it wants to go, and it's very unorganized. So it's tricky to paint something that's very unorganized. Very tricky. And it goes right in here. You know, I'm not copying this exactly, but I want to really give that nice impression, do you know what I mean? Okay, there's another piece comes off here. Like that. And it just falls down. Okay, how's this coming on so far? Yeah, I know it looks very bright now at the moment, but I'm going to darken it down, you see. Okay, I'm just kind of getting some of these finer kind of highlights done, the really bright ones, and it comes along here and it's sort of dripping from his hand. So a couple of like that. And we'll have one or two kind of stray ones over here as well. Just have a bit of fun with it, that's what I say. Down like that. Okay, I'm going to mix a warm colour. I'm going to take some crimson with some cadmium yellow, and I'm focusing more on the pink side of the colour, okay? So a very warm kind of a colour, very warm pink. And there's that sunlit colour kind of popping through. There's an orange. I'm going to make it more orange. We take some more cadmium yellow. A little crimson. And that's a much nicer colour now. I'm going for this lovely, rich, kind of a pinky orange, okay? And I'm going to mix that colour then here and there in the water. So you can see where it sort of pops in and out of the water here and there. You can see a lot of that colour going on up here. And I can see little dabs of it here and there in some of that. Now, I'm going to go to my small pointy brush next, and I'm going to get some real dark colours, alright? I'm going to go for, I'm thinking black and crimson. So it's not pure black, there's a kind of a pinky undertone to this colour. Let me try. See what I mean? It's a very, very dark pinky undertone. And I'm just kind of putting little flicks of this colour here and there. It's very, as I said, you know, it's very difficult to paint water because it's reflecting the dark and the brights. So it's a tricky enough subject to paint, actually. You can just use pure white on its own if you wanted. That would work as well. Okay, let's keep going. Let's just tip away now with this. Put a couple of blacks on some of these bright ones down here. And then I'm going to move to my palette knife. Okay, I'm going to go to my palette knife in just a moment. I'm going to put a nice dark under here. Like that, okay? And actually what I will do as I'm here, I'm going to take some very bright colour. I'm going to get some white on my brush. And I'm going to just go in there and just here and there put little touches of bright. Just here and there. And redefine some of these ones here, okay? So we have a very bright one here. And we have a very bright one around here. So you can see I'm just kind of literally putting on lots of thick white paint with the tip of my very pointy brush. I'll put a couple down around here. Look, just one or two. And I'll put a few in around very. Like that. I don't think I even need my palette knife, to be quite honest. And I'll put a few, one or two real bright ones under here. Like that. And up here, I put perhaps one or two, just little marks. That's all they are really. It's just kind of little marks. And I put a tiny amount, as if sort of running down his arm, you see? Just a tiny, tiny amount. Now I need to straighten this slightly. It's kind of going on a side angle. You know, water's supposed to fall vertical, isn't it? So I'll just widen it slightly, like that. I won't go too wide because it'll spoil it. Go down here, perhaps just lighten some of that, make it kind of slightly thicker. And I think I'm going to leave it. I don't want to kind of overdo this now. I don't want to go crazy. I'd be afraid in case I spoil it. So let me just stand back and take a good look at this. It's not too bad now, is it? I like that water drop under the tap. That's quite nice. It's difficult enough to paint all of this water. It's something that you really want to be taking a lot of time to do. It's just that type of a subject. You really want to take your time on something like this. Let me get a little bit of that warm colour and just put it there, and perhaps one or two dabs of it there. Go right down with some of these. And I think I'll leave as it is. Let me just take a little bit of pink actually. Some more pink. I want to get some more of that pink colour with the orange. So a pinky orange again. I'm just going to go in here and cover some of that dark with the pinky orange, okay? And my friends, I think we'll leave it at that. Let me take some colour and sign the end of this. And let me zoom back. Let me just zoom back now first with my camera. It's not bad, is it? I come down here and sign it, look. S. Conway. And I'm going to make a frame for this because I'm very, very happy with this. I am really, really happy how this turned out. Let me see now if there's anywhere else I can just change a few little things. I'm going to take some black and I'm going to go up and just add a little shadow just here and there to some of those. Okay, let me see where else. Let me see. Take a little bit of the orange, pop a little touch of, as if it's reflecting the light from the sun. Do you know what I mean? Okay, just like that. Maybe a little bit more up there. Okay, not bad. And I think we're done. I don't see anything else that we can improve on. Let me just take some of the black and some of the brown, and let me just bring this arm just out ever so slightly. Like so. Okay. And I'm going to call it finished, my friends. I am very, very happy with this. I think it's been a huge success. I nearly had an accident there, huh? What about that? There we go. A huge success. I'm going to put a hint of that light pinky colour just up here, okay? And maybe a little tiny hint of white there and a little there, as if it's kind of coming down and the tap is leaking, okay? There. How about that? And we are done, my friends. Finished. Let me zoom in and show you what we have created. Isn't that wonderful? A nice, simple, but effective painting. And there we are. I'm going to take a sip of coffee to celebrate. I'm very happy with that. Let me turn the camera now so you can see myself. Oh, there. Did you enjoy that? Thank you so much for watching. Let me fix this thing. I'm very happy with that. I think I just tried to keep it simple. I didn't overwork the water because it's very easy to overwork something like that, and you'll end up having it on half of your painting. It can go everywhere. So I think less is more sometimes. If you're worried about painting water like that, you could just use white on its own, just white, little dabs of white. You don't have to go to the extent of putting little shadows in and stuff like that, but I just thought the shadow would kind of help show the water a little bit better. But you could just use like a very light pink on its own as well if you wanted, okay? So yeah, I'm very happy with that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next week with another tutorial, and I don't know what, I might do a nice sunset. I'm thinking sunset, so I won't be long. Do subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you again so much to my patrons for all your support. It means a huge amount to me. And God bless you all. Happy painting, and I'll see you next week.